I want to be a vampire so bad. Welcome to I Be Suffer.
Good rocks.
This is episode 380 of I Hope You Suffer. I'm a three-toed booger.
Ooh, I am a different booger that has, but also I still have three toes.
Yeah, but just on one foot. The other foot has four.
That's right. Yeah.
We're going to talk about 2014's American Monsters, Werewolves, Wildmen, and Sea Creatures. Another
Right.
banger from J. Michael Long.
We're
uh,
finding ourselves here.
Man, I'm the only person that's reviewed this, and it's just I can't believe I've watched five of this dude's movies.
Yeah.
uh, Man, not as good as that weird list one, but I don't know. This was better than the fucking ghost movie we were watching.
Yeah, I have one thing that I want to talk about in that ghost thing, but I will say about this one is so we did episode this is like another monster listicle. This one is for specifically American, I guess, even though they do talk about European stories, which is weird.
This
Um,
feels like cut scenes from other documentaries he made.
yeah. So it's like weird because it's like not as detailed as the other listicle that we did, but like somehow we don't have more information about the things either. So when we go through, I made a list of like everything that we're going through. This how long is this thing? Like an
Like
hour?
54 minutes.
Yeah. So it's like another one of those things where it's just like here's this thing and here's a sighting and here's this thing and here's a sighting. So there's not a lot of info about any of them. But what I'm not going to do in this specific episode is go into any of them because like you said, this is like the fourth one that we've done. So if for some reason you're randomly listening to this and you actually want more information, we did episode 278. I don't even, somehow it was that long ago. We did Scariest Monsters in America and Scariest Monsters in the World, which were both on Tubi, which again was a listicle, which again, I don't know. They were fine. They weren't great. They were fine. And then episode 339, we did Aliens, Cryptids, and Creatures, top 10 real monsters. That's where we learned about the Mystery Black Panther, which I've never, ever gotten over for my whole life.
Yeah,
And
because
now
it's
we have
got
American.
Mortal Kombat theme playing.
Yeah. And now we have American Monsters. So in those other two episodes, I feel like I kind of like went into more depth about some of the monsters. I'm not really going to do that here unless there's like a specific question because like it's pretty much almost the same thing except for that this one is specifically monsters. So it's all cryptozoological stuff. There's no aliens.
I was like, except that this one is almost exclusively about Bigfoot creatures.
Yeah, and also for some reason, it's so funny because like before you had said something to me about like, did you notice it's the same like narrator? I didn't know that this was at all related. But then at some point, a CG like gorilla starts walking around a lot, and I was like, this is really, really giving off aliens, cryptids, and creatures top 10 real monsters vibes. I'm getting. Because it's another one of those things where it's like a bunch of CG and then like people wearing costumes doing random stuff and like I don't know.
That's
So
all you
I'm
need.
right. So I'm gonna say like overall again not great. There was some really confusing information in this to me, and then also something that I have literally never heard of before. Before we decided to do this other listicle, we were going to do what was that called? Do you
I don't.
remember?
It was literally just like something paranormal. like real paranormal stories or some
Yeah.
fucking
Real
bullshit.
paranormal story something. It's also a documentary that of course is on Tubi that you can watch, except for some reason all of the stories are based in California. And it's also just like people sitting in places and telling their story. And like some of the stories are like fine, but they're not like some of them don't really make any sense. Like there was no editing. They were just kind of like tell your story.
Yeah, and
And
then it's
like
like the most it ever cuts away from them is they'll be like, well, then I went walking up the stairs, and it just cuts to like stock footage of stairs.
a staircase. Yeah.
This haunted house, real paranormal stories.
Okay. Yes. Um I will say that like yeah, and then they would also cut away to things that had nothing to do with anything. Like this guy was telling a story about how he had like a haunted computer or something, and then for some reason they kept cutting over to like this image of a woman in a alleyway like holding a hatchet, and I was like, what does that have to do with your computer being haunted? And it was pretty boring. Like I said to you, like I watch a lot of like quote unquote like first person paranormal story shows. Like I watch a lot of them, and usually there are reenactments of some sort or photos or evidence or something. And this is literally just like people sitting in front of a green screen of something, like telling their story. And so it was pretty boring and not great. The one that I do want to talk about though is um a woman. The last two people that are interviewed go for a very very long time. Like a few of the people that they interview, I feel like did they should have cut because like nothing happened in their story. The last two people talk for like 20 minutes. So the one I want to talk about, I didn't even write her name down cuz I like did watch it. I had it on the background. There's this woman who runs an Airbnb, not an Airbnb, a bed and breakfast in Jackson, California, which I have never heard of. I don't know where that is. But she's basically talking about how she bought this bed and breakfast, and like at one point it was a boarding house, and so like people are in and out or whatever. And she was talking about how she had these people, paranormal investigators, come to the house all the time to do, you know, do what they do. And she was talking about this like one time where like basically she like feeds off of the house, and the house will like pick up on her energies or whatever. And she's talking about how like sometimes the researchers that come are like really annoying, so when she can like she's like watching them on their surveillance cameras and they're being annoying, in her mind she's like, oh shut up, you're so annoying. And then like on her behalf the ghosts will like tell the paranormal researchers to like shut up and go away and stuff, which I thought was really funny. So she's talking about this one time that there was people, and she's also like, yeah, we've got like five spirits. There's Frank and he does this, and there's whoever and they do this. Like she's like talking about all of these ghosts or whatever. So she says like one time there was a group of investigators there, and one of them like in the basement or something got really sick, was like feeling really bad, and like was pretty much like exhibiting signs of a heart attack. So they like ran out and left and like were like driving him to like urgent care or whatever. And then I guess like the farther away he got from the house, it was like he felt better. And she said, I felt bad that he got so sick. So I like went on his Facebook to like message him and be like, oh, I'm so sorry about what happened. But then I looked at his Facebook and I realized we wouldn't be friends. So she basically was saying that like the ghosts knew that this guy was a piece of shit and they tried to give him a heart attack, which I thought was amazing. Um and then so like she's telling all these stories about things that have happened, like sometimes the keys go missing, and like there was this guest that was like rude to her, and so the ghost like made him lose his key, so he had to pay like $600 to have a locksmith come or whatever. Just like all of this like petty behavior, which I love. But then at the very very end of the interview, she divulges to us that she is an empath and whatever she says, physical medium, which I don't know what that is, but she's basically just like this entire time she's like, "Oh, I've never had experience with the paranormal before, but I am a psychic." And I was like, "Girl, what?" It was really crazy cuz she just like said that at the very end of the interview and I was like, "All right."
I
She was the
think
only
I.
one I
Oh, good.
no, I was just going to say she's the only one that I really wanted to talk about because what a crazy amount of information she gave us.
Yeah, I think I got through the first two, and then I texted you, and I was like, "This is boring as fuck. We will not be able to talk about this."
Yeah, no. Like I said, there's a lot of the stories too that like don't, in my opinion, there's no, it's like not really a story. And then also some of them are just like there needed to be some like editing done or something. Um, it just kind of like I don't really understand why they made it. But so anyways, yeah,
To get dummies like us to watch it.
they try. Well, you didn't even watch it, so
No, I mean I've got through. I've finished. Like, well, no, I think I left like turned it off like during the last person story.
yeah.
But
I also
because I was like I got like 3/4 of the way through when I was just like let's watch this instead because this
yeah,
sucks.
she in my opinion also did not really say anything, but she sure talked for a long time. So
The like the first guy's story, I was just like, just why is this in here? Like,
no, yeah, exactly. I was like, what is he even trying to say? I feel like if you're gonna do something like what they did, where they don't have a budget for like cutaway reenactments or whatever, they needed to have had the people write down whatever the story was and then like given them a script or something. Because like I do appreciate when I'm watching something like this and I can tell that the people are like you know, I don't want to say not reading from a script, considering as I just said, give them a script, but it's like you can tell when somebody's like telling a story that's like legit something that happened to them or they think happened or perceived happened to them or whatever versus somebody reading a story that's like scripted or whatever. But they needed a little bit of help, I
it
think, because
it should have been a podcast. Like, if these
yes,
stories were just part of those like podcasts that are just like listener story episodes and shit, it would have
yep,
been completely fine.
yeah. And that's why I said like I will listen to somebody tell a rambling dumb story about something paranormal that happened to them literally all day. I will, I do. But to do it in a visual component to me is a weird choice when like there's no other substance. And for the most part, like when somebody is talking about like, oh, I lived in this place, there's not even like pictures of it. It's just like a random stock house behind them with like a filter over top of it. So I'm confused as to like why whoever made this like thought, like, what did you think you were adding to the world? I don't know,
I
whatever.
mean, to be fair, the J. Michael Long, as far as I could tell, has like
Was this the same? It was the same person?
no. I was
Oh,
going to say like
I was like,
his
what?
based on the like 5 documentaries of his I've watched, it's like the same shit over and over and over again.
Right. And so American Monsters is essentially top 10 real monsters, except for no aliens, as I said. And then for some reason, like, whereas that documentary was like one title of a thing, like Mystery Black Panther, and then we would get like 10 minutes of like CG footage with no information. This is like the opposite where they're trying to like jam as much information in as like sort of you'll see what I mean when I say information, but it's like lake monsters and then they're like this is the lake monster, then there's this one, also there's this one, also this one, thunderbirds, and I'm like what? I
Like I had a hard time following like what his train of thought for like a lot of this was, because
yeah,
it does feel like the other one made sense because it, like you said, it was a list. So like, granted, he was saying crazy shit about these creatures, but that's expected for like one of these documentaries.
Right.
This one was just like, I swear to God, he'd be talking about something, and then you would just look up, and there's just like absurd Bigfoot footage, and he's talking about like a sea creature or some shit. And
Yeah.
like, then for some reason, he just starts talking about like other variants of Bigfoot creatures where I'm just like, just fucking, they're Bigfoots. Just say they're Bigfoots.
Yeah, I will say like when we get towards the um the end was like very confusing to me because of the way that it was like
Well, it's
edit. I don't
because
know.
Doctor Doom showed up and
Right.
left us with a real cliffhanger. This is part of the Marvel universe.
Yeah. That was a spoiler. We were about to say spoilers going forward, and sorry about that.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about American monsters. These always surprise me because, like, no matter what year one of these comes out, so this one's 2014, they're always like, the first sighting is always usually like, depending on what it is, sometimes it's like the 1800s, but normally it's like the 60s, 70s, it's like the 1900s, early 1900s. And then they'll be like, and then there was a sighting in 2007. I'm like, right, right, but now it's 2025 and you filmed this in 2014. So I feel like you should have left it out. Maybe if there was no other sightings for like a decade.
Oh my God. I don't know why. I know I said it earlier, but like it just dawned on me that this was over a decade ago.
Yeah. So,
Oh
and
boy.
and I don't know. I think that maybe my issue is like, again, too many monsters and too little information. Like, I know some of them do not have a lot of info, but it's like, how many? I don't know. Again, it's just like one of those things where I guess like if you're somebody who is like new to cryptids or whatever or folklore, that you would want to be like, I really don't even know where to start. Let me watch this thing and then I can look more into like whoever.
Let me tell
But
you,
like,
don't start with anything on Tubi.
no, oh no. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so this basically starts. It's like a really really typical creature intro where like there's like music that's like, and then there's like CGI ant cryptids flying around and explosions and guys wearing monkey costumes and shit.
His like back and forth between like CGI animated shit and like the worst like real like footage of shit, quote unquote real, where it's obviously just like a dude in a costume.
Yeah.
And like as I can't remember if you texted me this or not, or if it was in like one of the previous ones we were talking about, where you were just like, I love how he'll just be like, this footage from 1978 clearly shows Bigfoot stomping around. 2 decades later, it was proven false, but imagine if it wasn't.
Literally, that's like how they are. And then I at least like, all right, well, let's get into this because the very first thing that he talks about kind of like branches off of that. So there's also like a lot of what's the word? Like the person who is like reading, there's a lot of speculation on the part of the narrator, right? Like as if this is like a think piece that we really need to. Oh, okay, because I oh my god, I can't believe I almost forgot this. Hold on. So when you very 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 first turn this on, before the CG and the cool music and whatnot, there is text on screen that startled me because it says, an astounding 2,300 Americans are reported missing every day, including both adults and children. I was like, excuse me? Like, did I put the right thing on? Because why are you talking to me about missing people? The federal government counted 840,279 missing persons cases in a single year.
Yeah. That's
Many
true.
are never accounted for. Is something out there eating?
Yeah, probably.
So basically, he's like speculating that the reason so many people have gone missing is because cryptids are real. So there you go. I'm also
I would
confused
buy it.
about this. Like 2,000 Americans go missing. The federal government, there's over 800,000 people a year. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I get it. 2,300 a day. That is so scary, if true. What? And this is a figure from 2014, mind you. Where's everyone going? Do you know what I'm saying? That's what he's
Uh,
planning to tell us, educate us on.
well, he's probably using Bigfoot's, you know,
Portal?
yeah, portal.
Immortal portal?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, we got the intro. There's guys running around in costumes, wilding out and whatnot. The very, very first thing that we're going to talk about, of course, is lake monsters. And basically, what I was going to say is that he essentially is saying, like, these are the cases. So we have Ogopogo, which obviously we've talked about before. We've talked about Champ before. And then there was actually one that he listed that I have never heard of, which was called Memphir. And what I think is interesting about all of these lake monsters is that every single one of them is spotted in an area that's like around the border or around the waters of Canada. Somewhere around Canada.
Hmm.
So
Like
let's
in,
go.
I don't remember if I was fully paying attention to the first part of this. Was it like Great Lakes
It's
or in the ocean?
no, they're lakes.
Yeah, I do. I know there are lakes.
Oh, I thought you just said are they lakes
I
or
know.
are
I
they
said. That's what I said. Was it in Great Lakes or was it in the ocean? Is
Oh,
basically
oh, just the lakes. Yeah, lakes. Like some of them I can't pronounce. So like
sure.
Champ is from Lake Champlain, which I do know about, and that his sightings are from back in like the 1600s, which is crazy. Ogopogo, I cannot pronounce his lake. Memphir, it was like Memphir something else lake. He was last seen in 2005, but his reports are from the 1800s. All of these lakes were are like around or off like British Columbia, Canada, Canadian border, blah blah blah. And essentially like what he's telling us about these lake monsters is that a lot of the times, most of the times, they are basically described as looking like dinosaurs. Like like obviously not American, but the most popular one is going to be Nessie, which essentially literally Nessie supposedly looks like a dinosaur. And that's what they're basically like saying about all these. So he's basically saying like, "Oh, these monsters were spotted. Are they just dinosaurs?" And I'm like, "I think
Yeah,
probably they
clearly.
are. I think definitely they are dinosaurs or some kind of prehistoric creature from that era, right? Like we still have crocodiles and alligators, which are prehistoric. So like I don't know. So that's basically what I'm talking about. Like every single time that he's talking about like, whereas before, and I feel like he was like convinced that Mystery Black Panther existed. He was like convinced, like he was just giving us straight facts. Like remember the underwater space, the underwater alien base, which I have not been able to stop thinking about. Those were presented to us as if
Well,
they were facts.
I got
And
news
then
for you. There's an entire documentary he made about him.
I can't. I don't think I can. I'm I just can't. Um but in this one, now in 2014, he's like maybe he's not sure anymore. He's made enough documentaries that he's starting to think because he's like lake monsters, dinosaurs? The next one is Thunderbirds and he's just like are there mythical cryptid giant birds or do giant birds just exist? And I'm like, I think giant birds exist. Actually, you're correct. So then it kind of slips though and starts getting a little crazier. Okay, so Thunderbirds. The thing that he tells us about Thunderbirds is that there have been stories from native peoples about huge birds that are big enough to pick up children. I believe that 100% is correct. He's talking about like all of these sightings, And again, it's like one of those things where the information that we're getting about, like, he's just like, in Illinois in 1988, there was multiple sightings of a bird, a shadow in the sky that was as big as a plane, but people said it was a bird. In 2002, there was a sighting in Alaska, blah, 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 blah. And most recently, in 2007, San Antonio, Texas. And, like, I'm not really sure what I want as evidence, but you just saying that somebody saw this thing in 2007, I'm like, okay, great, great. This next one I have never heard of or seen, and it is something that he categorizes as flying humanoids. Um, he basically starts off by telling us that this happened in the year 2000, and there was a very popular and notable sky watcher in Mexico. And he basically saw a little guy flying around in the sky.
This footage is crazy.
So, what they show us the footage, not only is it shaky as hell, which is like interesting to me if you're saying that this footage was captured by somebody who was like an avid skywatcher, and what they're saying is that this person watches the skies to try and catch like evidence of like APIs and stuff like that. Wait, API?
UAP?
UAP. API is something different. Um yeah, so yeah, aliens. He's watching the sky to try and get aliens. And so one night he looks up in the sky and sees what appears to be a tiny man flying around in the sky with his legs dangling. Like,
Yeah,
it looks crazy.
it looks like I can't think of the name of the toys, but there's like those toys where you could put in like what I assume is like a fairy or something.
Oh, a
Uh,
sky dancer?
yeah, like one of Caitlin's nephews got one that's like a newer thing that I can't remember the name of. That was like, yeah, you like pull the thing and it goes like flying out, but it's like arms are just like outstretched,
Yeah, a
and
sky
that's like
dancer.
that's just what it looks like. And I was like, uh, somebody's toys in the air.
Yeah, so the thing to me about this is that like basically what they're saying is that it's a little man that's able to just like fly around in the sky, and they're like postulating, is this an alien? And then they're saying that like he took this video, somebody else took a video of the creature, the little man, in the same area. So in my mind, I'm like, this is somebody's drone toy. Like,
Right.
there's absolutely no way that like drone toy flying toy situations didn't exist in the early 2000s. And like, it's really hard to tell from the video like how high up this thing is, to be like, for somebody to be like, well, the technology, you wouldn't be able to fly it that high at the time. I don't fucking know. This looks like a toy to me, like very clearly. It's like flying. It's like weird because its body, in my memory of this video, this thing looks like its body is like a little potato, and then its legs are flapping around as it's moving throughout the sky. But the body part, even though it's flying around, looks stable to me, which is why, to me, it looks like a toy of some sort. But um, then there's like there's they're talking about also a report from a pilot who said that he was flying in his airplane, and he saw a little man flying in the sky, and he was wearing a backpack.
Real quick, since I don't know, spoiler for some bonus episodes coming in the future, we might start doing episodes on books. This guy has a book called Real Monsters, Creatures, Ghosts, and Demons from Hell.
Oh, amazing.
And it's only
I'm
two
really
hours,
interested.
2 hour audiobook, so
Okay, perfect. I'm so interested to hear his take on Demons from Hell.
I legitimately think his audiobooks are just the audio from his movies.
100%. I'm sure
Cuz
it
like a
is.
bunch of them are just like the same shit, but like some of them look like they might be just Uh, I'm gonna make Caitlin watch his American Heroin Addicts documentary and
Oh,
tell me if it's good. See
sir.
how real is this?
Oh my god. um, insane. Okay, so my favorite part about this flying humanoid situation is that at the very end, he literally says that 14 years of research by qualified monster hunters has turned up nothing. Nobody knows what it is.
Crazy.
The qualified monster hunters do not know what this flying humanoid is. So, great. Now we move on to a classic, Werewolves. I loved and appreciate this man that's doing this voiceover. I don't know if it's I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's the director or
It's the
whatever.
director.
Okay, he is trying so hard, in my opinion, to not sound like he has a southern accent in this. Like, he's trying to play it like straight movie announcer man, but sometimes he slips up and has a very thick southern esque accent. And this werewolves part was my absolute favorite because I appreciate he can say the word werewolves, but he cannot say werewolf. He says werewolf, which
Well, he's from Waco, Texas.
is he really?
Well, it's at least where he lives. I was trying to see if anything said like where he was born, but I
I love this.
cannot believe he is still pumping this shit out. He had one, two, three, four, five of these last year.
Insane. You know what? Gotta respect a working
And like
guy.
they're so all over the place where it's like
Yeah.
just last year was what USO aliens and UFOs, I'm guessing in the oceans, like under and then cut off. The mysterious ancient world of giants,
Oh,
alien artifacts, mystery drones, JFK conspiracy marathon.
there you go.
What does
Very,
marathon
very
mean?
good.
6 hours we are watching this.
That is interesting.
Well,
Um,
that one at least looks like it has people in it.
oh, we've not seen people before. So basically, I, I, I very clearly will admit that I have been known to say werewolf. I, I do say it, but so I appreciated to be seen that he was saying werewolf. But he could say werewolves correctly. I'm over pronunciating it because I feel like I say werewolves.
I
That's just me.
legitimately don't know if I've even noticed the way anybody says werewolves.
The only reason that I know that I don't say wolf correctly is because I have it has been pointed out to me before that I say werewolf, which it's fine. I just felt I appreciated his accent in here. So we're talking about werewolves. He basically mentions the Werewolf of Bray Road, which is really famous in werewolf lore. That happened in the 80s and 90s in Wisconsin, where there was like multiple viewings. He kind of this is where I felt like maybe this is where the documentary starts falling. This is where it starts falling apart and getting
Yeah,
confusing to
it
me.
was it was very
It
thorough
was
and
so
put together
together
in the
and tight
beginning.
until now. Because he's basically talking about like the olden days of when there was sightings of werewolves, and like of course he's saying that like I don't know, you tell me, there's been credible witnesses for decades, maybe even centuries. And I'm like, how do you know these witnesses are credible, first of all? So then we go from just like this like very overview of werewolves to immediately something that I do not like to talk about, which is skinwalkers. And he basically starts to describe that essentially this is a person who can transform into animals by wearing animal pelts. And this goes back to, like native people stories. So he's talking about how it is, specifically, he's like mentioning the Navajo. And he's talking about how like they have a lot of stories regarding them, but they don't really tell outsiders. I'm like, okay, that's their prerogative. But he goes on to say like this is the kind of stuff like sometimes people will see an animal looking in through their window and whatever, and then he says, and I quote, it may attack a vehicle and cause a car accident.
Yep, could happen.
And then they show this like car accident kind of like in the far distance, and a like CGI wolf, like just a really, really, really normal, actually almost husky looking wolf, like just like walks across the street. And I was like, okay, here we go. This is where this is where it's starting to get real here. Um, because then he goes back and starts talking about European werewolf stories, and I was like, shouldn't you have been talking about that like in the werewolf section?
Also, this is American monsters.
Exactly. So,
Unless
I was
those
like,
those European ones are coming over and we're gonna throw all their tea into the ocean. Oh, we'll hear about it.
that's right. We don't want to know, okay? And then he starts talking about how like they can mimic voices slash animal noises, which is honestly to me like the scariest part. That that's where the thing from like the Appalachian woods comes from and stuff, where it's like if you know if you hear somebody call your name, like ignore them, etc., all that stuff. And then he says something at the end which I have never heard before, which is that also they can read minds. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that's true.
That is very scary.
Everything I've ever heard in these documentaries is true, I believe.
That's fair. Okay, so the next one is devil dogs. Um, this is also a very interesting thing to bring up because again, I feel like a lot of the stories originating with like devil dogs or black dogs is also European. So basically, he's just talking about how the devil dogs can be anywhere from the regular size of a dog to a horse. Could be a normal sized dog,
I mean,
could be a size of a horse.
I've seen some Saint Bernards that are pretty fucking close to the size of a horse, so
I
that's not that
know.
crazy to me.
Yeah. Um, this was my favorite part because basically he's talking about how the devil dogs are usually seen as a bad omen. So, like, in folklore, if you see a devil dog or a demon dog or a black dog or whatever, it means that you or somebody you love is going to die. In the same breath, he pretty much says, or sometimes nothing happens, so could be fine. And I was like, all right, yes,
Sometimes a
okay.
thing happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes something bad happens immediately after, and sometimes not. It's almost if there's no correlation.
Everything's very random.
Then he tells a story about one time these people were at church and a devil dog busted in the church. Again, I this story is from England. The dog busted in the church and killed a little boy, and then when he ran out, there was fire on his paw prints or something, and then the roof of the church collapsed. Then
I
he
don't think
ends
that's
off.
true.
No. Also, again, I don't know if anybody told him, but England and America are not the same thing.
Pretty close.
So, then he ends the devil dog section by talking about how essentially people think that the dogs are just Satan's besties, which I just love. I was like, yeah, he can have dogs, he can have pets, you know? Oh, okay, wow. Now we're on to, one of my homeboys, Mothman.
I
He
legit
doesn't,
don't even remember Mothman being in this.
like, there's just like no new information here. He basically is talking about how Mothman was first seen in 1966 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Talking about people seeing it, about the bridge collapse, about how sometimes people think that he is either, again, a harbinger of death, or maybe he was trying to warn people. I don't know. He basically ends the Mothman segment by saying alien creature or supernatural being.
Good question.
Don't know. I will say I I am like totally like lake monsters and the thunderbirds and like anything that's a creature that like looks still like that looks not humanoid. Like if it's not bipedal, to me, I very much am in the camp of like it's probably an actual animal that we just don't know, that it's like huge or whatever. People try to say that Mothman is that fucking huge prehistoric bird. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Um, yeah, I can't. The name's not coming to me.
I but the thing that matters is that you know the bird that I'm talking about. I do
Yes.
not see how what I've seen people describe Mothman as could be mistaken for that bird.
I mean, no. Well, I mean, based on like, I guess granted, I'm thinking of Mothman in terms of like what he looks like in that statue and shit.
Yeah.
Like not I don't. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen what is quote unquote real footage of Mothman flying around.
I don't know if there is any.
I'm gonna make a documentary about Mothman. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
All right. Let me know.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever think of him as like a almost pterodactyl looking fucking thing.
Right. Yeah, because like my big thing is that like you he's supposed to be like huge. He's supposed to be, like he can fly, but he's supposed to have kind of like normal legs, I feel, not like bird
Yeah, he's got a
legs.
big old butt.
He's got a juicy little apple bottom and I don't know. I just like don't see how I'm not picking up. I don't believe that it. I don't know what I think Mothman is. I do not think that he's like a prehistoric bird. Um. Okay, so now we're moving on to something else which I had never ever heard of in my life, which is Wampus Beast. Wampus is literally something from like Alice in
I was
Wonderland
gonna say
somehow.
Dr. Seuss.
Literally like what? And basically the Wampus is I'm actually a little offended I've never heard of it because it sounds sick as shit. It is a cat-like beast that walks on its hind legs and it has alluring hypnotic eyes. Sounds awesome. It is specifically found in rural East Tennessee. Okay. But then they're also like also it lives under the caves underneath Knoxville. Great. I love that. They basically are saying that the Wampus Beast is a spirit of death, and if somebody sees one, they will die and be buried within 3 days.
Seems bad.
Why so specific, also?
Seems like The Ring.
Yeah, seems not great. Basically, they're trying to say that this comes from like a native story that is a woman who was wearing a pelt of like a cougar, snuck over to spy on these men who were telling quote unquote sacred tales. And when they discovered her, she was punished by being turned into the Wampus Beast. Doesn't really sound that bad to me.
Yeah,
Like
could
being
be
a Wampus
worse.
Beast sounds kick ass. And I don't think that she should have been punished for wanting to know the hot goss, also. So that's the Wampus Beast. Never heard of it. Um, so now we're on to lizard men. However, these are different lizard men than the lizard people that is kind of like a part of our zeitgeist today. This is literally like Dr. Connor's lizard man. It's like a man that is a lizard.
Hell yeah.
They even like took some footage, like stock footage of him, and like had it in there. I was like, oh, there he at. So Lizard Man is from Lee County, South Carolina, from 1988. There was a. This one was funny to me. This was one of the ones I texted you about because it was like 1988. There was a sighting outside a swamp where somebody's car broke down, and then the lizard man ran from the crick towards the guy and then like fucked up the guy's car. And while they were telling the story, they like panned to like a footage of like a bear in a lake. And I was like, huh? That's a bear. That's fine though. Basically, they say there's been multiple sightings of this lizard guy punching people's car and shit, and
I'm
sighting.
baffled by like the things he decides to put in here.
I know. He says sightings continue to this day. To this very day, there are lizardmen sightings. So next is obviously going to be my all-time favorite that I have also never heard of before, which is the sheep squash.
Hell yeah.
So this is where the documentary continues to just really fall apart for me because I feel like we've got sheep squatch, then immediately we have goatman, and then there's like a couple other things, and then we get to Sasquatch. I feel like goatman, sheep squatch, Sasquatch, all of that stuff should have been under the same banner. But then weirdly, the booger thing happens, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So, Sheep Squatch, he's of course from West Virginia, duh, early 1990s. He's got white, wool like fur, small horns, hands like a raccoon, saber like teeth. He's as big as a bear, and he's got a long hairless tail.
I'm not gonna lie, I just googled sheep squatch and he looks cool as fuck.
He looks so cool. My thing about this segment is that he's basically just talking about like what this sheep squatch looks like and that people have been terrorized by him, and they're like, wouldn't you, like, this thing is so terrifying, don't you think? And I was like, I don't know, I kind of like him.
Apparently that's like a thing. His sheep squatch is a thing at Fallout because that's what like a bunch of pictures are from. But
Yeah, sure. So like question
I'm
like
going to assume J. Michael Long plays video games and then creates these movies based on them.
yeah, my question is like, where did he get West Virginia from? And then
Probably listening to John Denver.
hmm, okay. Okay, so now we have Goatman, human goat
Pass.
with a grotesquely deformed human body.
Rude.
Question mark I
It's just
wrote.
me.
That was just Nathan taking the trash out. Okay, don't gotta be so mean. Um,
The one time I take the trash out without a shirt on.
uh, what I'm confused about here is that like I don't know. This was another one of those things where people are like, where he was basically just like, the goat man exists, and here's like 6 different versions of him that people have seen. And I'm like, okay, sure. They basically, one of the stories is that he likes to hide under a bridge and lure people out onto the tracks so that they get run over by a train. Um,
He's just
that was
playing
in
pranks.
Yeah, literally, that was in Kentucky. In Maryland, there is a goat man who runs after people with an axe. He used to experiment on goats, apparently. I wrote 1969 Texas through tire. They showed us this like newspaper report about these people in Texas who said that they saw the goat man and the goat man threw a tire at them. There you go. Then in the 1970s, in Pennsylvania, they're talking about a sheep man. So I was like, is that not sheep squatch?
I mean,
A,
basically.
a sheep and a goat also are not the same thing. So the sheep man is not goat man. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden we're just like jim jamming all of these different things together. Because next we have the fucking dog man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like you could just pick an animal, just put man at the end of it, and
Pretty much.
they just cram it into one of these documentaries.
Yeah. So Dogman, we've heard about this Michigan Dogman. He's from 1887, was the first appearance. 2007, apparently there was like some kind of hoax where somebody put on a Dogman costume and was like, hey, I filmed this. It came out that it was a hoax, but then people were like, oh, I know that was fake, but actually I do have footage of Dogman. Here it is.
I mean, I'm assuming that's the same thing that happened with that Bigfoot footage.
Sure. Which in like some ways I get, because like obviously if you're trying to say to somebody legitimately like, "Oh my god, I saw XYZ man," like you're going to probably be ostracized, right? So I guess like if you had an encounter and you were like scared to tell somebody, then somebody was like, "Hey, here he is." And you're like, "Oh my god, that's the thing I saw." Even if that turns out to be fake, I feel like you probably are like, "No, wait, I actually saw that." And then other people are like, "Oh yeah, me too." Whatever. But still, I don't know. Dogman, you know,
Yeah, where's Catman at?
that's what I'm wondering. Next is again, I'm confused about this one. This one is Grassmen.
I don't even remember this.
So the Grassmen are in Ohio and aroundabouts Ohio.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Basically,
Never mind.
yeah. Basically, it gets its name because they are known to eat wheatgrass or the flesh of humans. You know, whatever they're
It's a
feeling.
real, not equatable thing.
That's just like people that are like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally vegetarian. I do eat bacon though."
Yeah.
Like, no. um it is he Grassman is known to be 7 to 9 feet tall. That's the other thing with a lot of these that I left out. Like some of them will be like, it has been reported that he is 7 to 9 feet tall, but sometimes people have said 13 feet tall. And I'm like, great. Like, this isn't real information. I understand the way that sounds. But do you know what I'm saying? It's just like,
Yeah.
here's this thing. Maybe this is info about it. So basically, the Grassman is like Bigfoot, except he has a more human face and there's no whites to his eyes. I don't really like that.
Yeah, no thanks.
Sounds bad. Also, he does like to eat small dogs. Okay. All right. Not to victim blame, but don't walk your small dogs by the forest where like a grass man could come and grab him. I guess is
Yeah,
what
if you know there's a grassman in the area, don't.
you should probably not walk your dog there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on to Sasquatch.
Well, I mean, what even needs to be said? Like,
The thing that's confusing about this is that he starts talking about Sasquatch, but there's no title. So like every single time they like transition to a new thing, there's like, word art on it that says devil dog or like whatever the fuck. He moves on to Sasquatch. There's no title. He just goes from Grassmen into talking about Sasquatch, which like I guess is in some ways more confusing, in some ways less confusing, because the last from this Grassman on, the entire rest of this documentary is essentially about Bigfoot, but calling Bigfoot a bunch of different things.
right.
So, Sasquatch. He says Sasquatch is three-toed. He's got three toes. Um, there's basically just like a bunch of different stuff about what he's been reported to look like. Everyone always says that he is very smelly.
Yep.
Um, okay. Basically, they're talking about like in the 70s, Arkansas is where there was like stuff. There's stuff about the 40s. Anything that you can think of like regular Sasquatch information, he's like giving it to us, except for the three-toed thing. And then from here on out, he is loving to show us CGI gorillas for some reason. This gorilla is going all goofy. There's like a scene where he's talking about how Sasquatches cause car crashes, and somebody is driving and just like veers off the road randomly, and there's like a CG gorilla just like walking across.
What
I'm
a
like, where
fucking
did
like weird thing to.
where did you get this public domain gorilla that you will not stop using it? It
But
was
also
so
like
strange.
the claims of just like causes a lot of car crashes. Like, what are your fucking metrics for this?
Right, exactly. That's why I'm specifically like, but it's only Sasquatch and the Skinwalkers that will attack vehicles and cause car accidents. I was like, what? Um, okay. So we're talking about just like these regular Sasquatch stuff that like you would normally see in a doc. Bigfoot. I'm gonna specifically say Bigfoot here. Stuff that you would normally be talking about. And then we get the title, and for the title, it says three-footed boogers.
Yep.
I have never in
Or
my life
three-toed.
heard. Yeah, what'd I say?
Footed.
Oh, this thing got 3 feet.
Yep.
Okay. Three-toed boogers. This guy says boogers so many times, and the way that he enunciates it, he was like three-toed boogers. It was insane. He says boogers so many times. I've literally never in my life heard of a booger in
Yeah.
this way.
I mean, I'm sure it's like a very specific regional term, the way like skunk ape and like whatnot, but like I've never heard that before.
I'm gonna try and see.
Yeah, just look up boogers.
Right. Uh. Okay. The booger or wood burger. Blech. I can't even say it. The booger or wood booger cryptid originates from Native American legends in the Shenandoah Valley as forest spirits, later adopted by settlers who linked them to the boogeyman to create tales of large, hairy, Bigfoot-like creatures, especially prominent in Southwest Virginia, where they become a cultural mascot. But it's Bigfoot. But
Yeah.
I've like literally never heard that, and like I'm from Virginia and the Shenandoah area, so like I don't know,
Well, you were
interesting.
talking to enough people.
The name booger evolved from its original meaning of ghost or haunt to describe this monster-like entity. A common way I literally never in my whole life Woodburg booger. I can't even say it. Anyways, this is why it's confusing to me because he starts talking about Sasquatches and then without giving the title, and then we get three-toed booger, and then he continues to just basically talk about different kinds of Bigfoots. So he says in Honey Island Swamp there was a creature that was cat-like looking, also smelly, 3 to 4 toes. There was all of these footprints in the ground, on the ground, that were 3 toes, and people are like, "Wow, this is crazy." The speculation was that there was a traveling circus coming through that crashed, and a bunch of the chimpanzees escaped and crossbred with the alligators.
Gross.
How and why would a chimp crossbreed with an alligator?
Magic.
Why would that happen? To create these boogers. Then there was this man who became famous because he had a bunch of cast molds of the footprints. Weirdly, the area that he went to get these cast moldings, somebody found a shoe, a fake shoe, that was the exact size and shape of these footprints. And the guy was just like, oh.
No, he was like, yeah, he admitted to like faking those, but you never
Like,
know.
literally, what? Then he's basically just telling us about a bunch of different boogers. The skunk ape, he starts talking about the skunk ape. He's saying the skunk ape is a booger. This is the only one where like we see footage of um this did I not even write this down? Or is this later? Oh, it is later. Sorry. Okay, this is why it's confusing. He starts talking about the skunk ape, says it's a booger. Then we switch over to a new section, but not really. The section is called Southwestern Sasquatch. He says that if Nessie or Champ, one of them, is the king of all sea monsters, then the Southern Sasquatch is the quote unquote queen of all monsters.
Disagree.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Wouldn't Bigfoot like regular like Pacific Northwest Bigfoot be the king of all monsters, queen of all monsters, whatever you want to gender it?
I would definitely say that Bigfoot would be considered the quote unquote king of all monsters. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many cryptids at this point, but Bigfoot definitely is like a head runner, right? He's like very popular. Everybody knows who Bigfoot is, even if they don't really know what cryptozoology is. There's Bigfoot shit everywhere. Like, what are you talking about? Also, why did you change it to Queen? Like what? It was very strange to me. Okay.
Maybe only like male Bigfoots are in the north. South it's all female.
I don't know because I also don't feel like he brings up Pacific Northwest Bigfoots at all in this.
Well, it's because he's got 45 other documentaries specifically about Bigfoot.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, he says that Bigfoot specific. I understand there are differentiations between a Sasquatch and Bigfoot and Yeti, whatever. In my mind, no. I think they're all the same thing, if
Yeah.
whatever they are, whatever. Southern Sasquatch, he immediately starts talking specifically about Bigfoot, saying that Bigfoot is bipedal, hairy, he's a monster. But Bigfoot is like any of these guys in North America. Not to mention, of course, smelly, always smelly, never not smelly. Do you know what I'm saying? Talking about the booger stuff again, then starts talking about the skunk ape again. And I was like, that's why I'm confused about like why are you separating these sections when it's all the same thing that you're talking about? There's no need to do that. This part made me laugh so hard because this is the by the way, this is the last thing is the skunk ape. This happened in the 60s and 70s in Florida, right? We knew skunk ape is Florida. Represent. They have basically pictures of a skunk ape that this woman took in her backyard. The picture is very creepy and scary looking. I don't know what I think this thing is, but the thing that really, really trips me out is that the woman who took the picture to report it to the authorities does not think that this is a cryptid. She just thought that there was like an escaped zoo creature in her backyard.
I mean, it
This
is
thing,
Florida.
yeah, that stuff happens all the time.
I've seen that
This,
snake.
oh my god, yeah, and then he came back after I thought he was gone. I'm
He lives there.
huh?
He was there first.
He probably was, to be fair. And also, it's the back of my house, so there's like absolutely no way I'm ever going back into those bushes, so it's fine. Um, yeah, she doesn't think that it's a cryptid. However, you're saying that this was skunk ape. And I will say, like, the picture is very creepy. This thing looks very big. Um, if it is somebody wearing a costume, like, it is a pretty, in my opinion, convincing looking costume. It does not look like a regular animal to me, which is what she thought it was. Because again, like I said, it's very tall, but it does look like some kind of primate. So I don't know. But I just thought it was funny that they're like, look at this evidence this woman took, and then it was like she doesn't even think that it was a cryptid. But and they basically end it by being like, yeah, I don't know, real or not, could be.
You tell us.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, great. That
Um, Pretty
that's
good.
it.
I learned a lot.
I will say I did learn about some things again that I didn't know about, which
Hey,
is
you learned what
long
a booger
biscuits.
is.
Yeah, and I wish I could unlearn it, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, for a 52, 54 minute thing, fine.
Fine.
Not as good as the list because we got the insane giant panther or whatever the fuck.
Mystery Black Panther.
Yeah.
I will say there was a lot less CG. Like the problem that we had with that other one is that there would be like one line of dialogue and then just like 10 minutes of like CG panthers spinning in the air, and then like the very last one, which was that underwater alien base or whatever, had like a 20-minute intro of like but like no title and no talking, so we really had no idea what was going on that whole time.
Hmm.
This is mostly like stock footage of people running around in monkey suits and whatnot, so like a little bit different. And then a lot of fake footage of like people dressed in like native looking outfits dancing around, and then like eagles flying around. So like it was
I think what we're
not.
saying is must watch. 5 stars.
Yeah, there you
All right. What have you watched since December 1st?
go. Like nothing. I don't think I've watched a single thing of note since.
As I had to look up when we did Carnage for Christmas, and it was December 1st.
And I don't even know if I had watched anything at that point. I
uh, I got a lot. I'm not going to talk about all of it. 'Cause a lot of it was rewatches.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
mean like obviously I was watching stuff, but not like so we watched I watched like obviously the holiday baking championship. We watched the TOC holiday version. We're still watching The Good Place. We're still slogging through Bones, and let me tell you, Bones might be the worst show I've ever watched in my life.
I mean, I haven't
Um,
seen it since it aired, and I really liked the first couple. Well, how far are you?
we're in season 8.
Okay, so you've had like the guy that was like trying to kill.
He's still here. He's
Yeah.
still trying to
I think that's
the computer
around
hacker
the
guy.
time I like cut out when the guy from Freaks and Geeks gets killed.
Oh, that's a spoiler.
Oh, did you not know that?
No.
So, my God, how many fucking seasons of that show are there?
There's like 12.
Hmm. For some reason I
Well,
thought that happened earlier. Well,
no.
spoiler.
He's still alive. Because like they do this thing where they like introduce the dude. He's like a fucking hacker. Then they'll do like 2 episodes and like the season finale is him and then he'll go away for like
Yeah, he's like
the
an
whole
overarching
season.
thing for like 3 or 4 seasons, it seems, from my
Yeah.
memory.
So like the episode that we just watched was like the season finale for episode for whatever season, and like his name is Sweets in the show becomes a target, but he is not dead.
Well,
I won't tell Chris. I also knew I also knew going in that Booth and Bones like got together and had a baby,
well,
but
yeah, it's very fucking obvious from
well
like the
Chris
get-go that they're at least going to have like a love story of some kind.
yeah, Chris didn't know that, so I told him going in, I was like, I do know a spoiler because I remember it was like big news whenever it like happened when it was airing. But then the way that they handle it in the show was like the dumbest, most underwhelming shit ever. And I was like, this is like one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life. It's not good. But you know what? We persist.
I mean, I remember
Um,
really liking the episode that was about like the dog fighting shit. That's like sort of
yeah,
early on.
I do remember that one. Yeah.
Whatever the episode is where she's like buried and all that like rubble in the car that they have to like find her. I remember liking.
That one was actually so funny because like she gets buried with the one of the lab tech guys and he is like messed up for life because of it and she's just like it was fine. Like
Yeah.
we escaped and I was like, "Girl, what?"
I feel like that show, a lot of the stuff I remember liking was more stuff dealing with like the people that aren't her or Angel.
Yeah. I hate to say like I love Angel, but his character is such a fucking nerd.
Yeah, he sucks in that show. Or like his character is like,
Yeah.
but I mean he's
Um
also just supposed to be like just a cop or whatever.
Mr.
So
America
yeah.
FBI, like literally. So anyways, we're still watching that. And I don't yeah, I really don't think I absolutely have not watched any movies. So, well, that's a lie. I watched like A Knight's Tale and I watched Dodgeball. Oh, I was sending you snaps of it, yeah. But I didn't watch anything like new of note for over a month.
Let's see. I watched the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks.
Hell yeah.
Pretty good. Uh, let's see. The fuck. Oh, I was like, what's the Keepers? But Caitlin's friend Tara came over one night as like we got like a little bit before I was getting ready to go to bed because I had to work the next day. When I was doing my 6 day shit, and they were just hanging out. And while they were like chatting, I put on this movie. Apparently, for some reason, it's called The Keepers in English, but it is a Soviet live action adaptation of Fellowship of the Rings from
Oh,
1991,
of
and
course.
it is insane. Like, none of the characters have like proper names really, or it'll be like it's like Schmiegel, like Bresnovanos or something, some fucking insane like Russian name. It rocks. Like Frodo's name is Frodo Torbins.
Great.
Like it rocks. Highly recommend. I watched Severin's release of the Idiot Box, the Alex Winters TV show, and it
Oh yeah.
rocks. I watched 2023's Round and Round, the Hallmark Hanukkah movie starring Vic Michaelis that was
Hell
surprisingly pretty good.
yeah.
Um, I watched Time Crimes from 2007, which is something Vinegar Syndrome put out, and it rocks. It is this crazy, like, low budget time travel movie that all takes. There's only like three people in it, and it's incredible. I won't spoil it for anybody that has not seen it, but high recommend. And then I watched American Monsters, Werewolves, Wildmen, and Sea Creatures. I
Hell
watched a bunch
yeah.
of other shit in between, but it's all shit I've talked about on here before, like fucking uh, Cruel Jaws and the Jaws movies and fucking
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, I obviously watch stuff over Christmas, but
yeah.
again, it's not.
I had
Yeah.
to make sure my last movie of the year was The House by the Cemetery.
Of course.
All right, but we will shout out.
I'm gonna shout out the Jags, baby.
I knew that was coming.
Um, I think that like pretty much all that I did this entire break, aside from like, um, you know, like I was always like hand making shit the entire time, was that I played that game. I think that I already shouted it out though. That was called Cassette Beasts. Like I played that. I played Core Keeper, which I've also shouted out. I ended the year reading 124 books. That one that I ended up shouting out let me down so bad. That's why I was like, I normally wouldn't shout something out if I'm only halfway done, but the beginning of it was so good and the ending of it was so bad that I was just like, oh, this sucks. I jinxed myself. And I'm gonna do like a wrap up of like maybe my top 10 like 5-star reads of the last year, but I don't really have anything that I'm reading right now that I would actually shout out or anything. So, yeah.
I'm gonna shout out the TV show The Comeback. One of the nights, like while we were on our break, we were trying to find something to watch, and I was like, I constantly would tell Caitlin, like, we gotta watch this show, The Comeback, because I'd watched the first season of it, and I was like, it's so good, and I think you would like it, and we ended up watching it, and they were like fell in love with it, and we watched the second season, which I had not seen yet, and the second season is so good. It's the show that like Lisa Kudrow made after Friends ended, where she plays this person who was like a famous sitcom actor for like this one show in like the early 90s, and then did like nothing after that, like could not get hired for like, I don't know, 15 years, and decides to in like the early 2000s or whatever make like a reality show about trying to get back onto another sitcom or whatever. And so the entire first season is like all of the like quote unquote like raw footage of this reality show documentary thing that she's filming. And it's like it's so good and it's so funny and she's like incredible in it. But then the second season is like takes place like a decade after that, after the first season ends, and it's like the same sort of idea where they're like filming. She's trying to get back into the public spotlight again. We're like filming another reality show, but this time she ends up falling like ass backwards into playing herself in a uh like HBO series that the writer of the sitcom she was on in the first season wrote about his like troubled, drug-addled like time on that show and how she was like the monster to him and all this shit, and it's crazy, but like the final episode is like one of, I would say, like, the best episodes of TV I think I've ever seen. And specifically, like, her acting in it is, like, insane. Like, she's so fucking funny on that show. But then the second season especially starts getting to sort of, like, heavier shit.
Yeah.
And it's, oh man, she's so good in it. I high recommend. And apparently it's coming back for, like, a third season, which takes place, like, another, like, decade later. Like, they've made these seasons, like, so far apart. And like, apparently it just deals with her getting cast in a sitcom that's all written by AI. And I was like,
Oh
I
my God.
cannot wait to see what that is like. Um, all right, next week we're gonna do a regular episode on Deathstalker where we, like, dive into it, I believe, so Katie can
Let's
actually
find
watch it.
out.
Um, yeah, so that'll be the next episode, and then I don't know, we'll figure some shit out. We gotta. This episode was mostly I had to buy a new computer because mine fucking died. It was just a, like, well, let's just, like, watch something stupid to, like, make
Check out
sure
if it's
everything
gonna work
works
for
well,
you.
and it did not because the program I used seems to not be working. So,
Yeah. So
um,
we'll see.
but yeah, like, we should all three be back next week. We're gonna talk about Deathstalker. Um, all right, if you would like to support us, join our Patreon at patreon.com/IVSufferPodcast. You can, like I said earlier, like, Katie and I have talked about for a while doing a, like, quote unquote book club thing on the Patreon that I think we're gonna try to do this year.
I guess
Starting,
that could have been my shout out.
whatever. Wait till we actually do it, then you can shout it out.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
um, Ideally, sometime in February we'll have an episode for that. Uh, so if you're at all interested in that, go sign up for that Patreon.
Yeah.
You can buy some merch and shit at our Redbubble shop. In the show notes, there's a link. Go get an Amityville shirt. You can follow us on Instagram, but I Hope You Suffer Podcast. You can follow Kid at Hidden Kitstery and Kitchification of Blood. You can follow Katie at Werewolf Face and join Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/werewolfface. You can listen to my other
Is
podcasts.
werewolf face?
No, it's a werewolf. You can listen to my other podcast, 8K Movie Club. Uh, can't believe I still remembered all that.
I
Uh,
am so used to hearing you say Store Frontier that when you said
I
Redbubble, I
know.
was like,
I
huh?
almost did, and then, like, all right, yeah, we'll be back. I hope you get eaten by a sheep squatch, but
Sheep
why?
Squatch. Arrgh. A three-footed bogey.
Yep.